This is a collection of all of my original Jurassic World figures. All of these dinosaur figures are from the first Jurassic World movie and are very hard to find or very expensive. This is the massive hybrid Indominus Rex figure. It's got some hidden spikes on its back that you can activate and a battery-operated jaw-chomping action. And here is another Indominus Rex figure, but this one is not a hybrid. It's still quite large though, and it actually has a real feel neck and head, where the rest of the body is a hard plastic. And on this figure, you can use the arm to open and close the jaw. It's got some sound effects. Right over here, we've got a medium-sized Tyrannosaurus Rex figure in the tan coloring. And I think I forgot to mention earlier that all of these figures are made by Hasbro, and that was the only Jurassic World movie that they designed toys for. And on this figure, you've got a button on its back for the chomping action. Here's a much smaller Indominus Rex figure. This one has some really cool battle damage right on the side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail to chomp the jaw. This is another T-Rex, actually the same model, but custom colored into this red, black, and a bright yellow coloring. It's a much more detailed coloring than the original, and it looks like there's even some battle damage on its back too. And of course, there's the jaw-chomping action too. And here's yet another similar looking T-Rex figure, but this one's pretty special because this is actually a hybrid T-Rex. Check out these spikes that pop right out of its back and along the top of its head. It's got totally different coloring with the green and some yellow detailing, pretty crazy looking. And of course, the jaw-chomping action. Up next, I've got an even larger T-Rex figure, and this figure has the same real feel neck as did the Indominus Rex earlier, but this figure actually has a very unique attack feature. What you have to do first is stand it up into the roaring position. It's got some sound effects. And then by moving the tail, it swings down into a chomping move. That is a pretty massive biting action. And here is our first winged dinosaur of this original Jurassic World's collection. I'm actually not sure what species this is, but it's pretty cool colored, bright blue and red with some yellow and a battle damage button on the top of its body. And not only that, but there's also a wing flapping action too. And of course, I've got a ton of Velociraptor figures from the first movie because they played such a big part in the movie. First off is this tan and green Velociraptor figure. You can move the arms and the legs. There's also this dark green Velociraptor with the black striping, and you can only move the arms and legs on this one as well. Here is a dark brown Velociraptor, but this one actually has some special features. There's first a battle damage button on its side, and you can use the tail to chomp the mouth open and closed. Then there's also this other dark green Velociraptor figure. It has some pretty cool striping, different compared to the other ones that we've seen so far. And here's another tan and green Velociraptor. I think it's the exact same figure, actually. Another dark green Velociraptor figure, this one with more subtle dark stripes along its back. This one has the battle damage button, and it also has the tail that chomps the mouth, although it is broken now, sadly. Then there's this dark brown Velociraptor figure, might be slightly larger than the other ones, I think. One more dark green Velociraptor with the more intricate striping and the battle damage on the side. And on this figure, the tail doesn't control the mouth, it actually controls the arms for some slashing action. And then here is a smaller Velociraptor figure, also in the dark green coloring with the striping along the sides. You can see a little bit of battle damage on its side. It's also got this little harness, the camera headset, and the tail that controls the chomping of the mouth. Next up, I've got a few more Indominus Rexes in here. This one's got the battle damage on the side that opens and closes, and the chomping jaw. And I think I've actually got another identical one right here, also with the battle damage and the jaw-chomping action. Here is another winged dinosaur. This one is called the Dimorphodon. It has a mostly green body with some black, brown, and tan detailing along its wings. It's got one battle damage button on its back, although it doesn't work anymore, but you can move the feet to get the wing flapping action. Let's see here. Oh, we've got a really cool Dilophosaurus figure. This one's quite large. It has the battle damage on the side with some yellow, brown, and gray coloring. And check out these enormous frills on its head. I've got a similar sized Dilophosaurus figure right here, but this one has even cooler coloring. It's got some neon green, yellow, orange, and dark brown. It's got the battle damage button on its side. And I forgot to mention it on the other one, but moving the tail actually activates the head to move up and down and kind of moves those frills. That's really cool. Now here is another really cool, super bright dinosaur. This is a Stegoceratops. It's a hybrid between a Stegosaurus, as you can see by these spines on its back, and a Triceratops, which the rest of its body looks pretty close to. But the coloring is amazing. It's got dark blue, light blue. All of its horns are a gold color, which is really cool. Got a little bit of battle damage on the side, and it has an attack action. When you move the tail, it has this head ramming movement. Over here is another pretty special figure. This one is pretty hard to find. This is a special edition Ankylosaurus figure with a removable special shell. So there underneath is its normal armor plating, and it's got some purple coloring with some reflective green all over its body too. And then that special super spiky shell is a bright green color with purple on the spikes too. And then it just goes right over the top like that, and you push it down. Plus there is a tail swinging action when you move the leg, and a head movement too when you move that same leg. Next up is one of the smaller Mosasaurus figures that I have in my entire collection. I'm sure you remember this dinosaur from the first Jurassic World movie. This figure has some battle damage on the side that you can open and close. It has some adjustable fins, and you can use the tail to activate the jaw, although sadly on this figure, it's super old, so it's broken now. Here is another Ankylosaurus figure. This one is the normal edition, so it has much more typical coloring with the tan on the sides. You can see some battle damage right there, and then the brown on the top where all of the armor plating is. And this figure has that same tail swinging action when you move the leg, as well as the head movement too. I've got a couple more Stegoceratops in here, each with their own different coloring. This first one's probably the most normal coloring with the brown and tan. It's got the battle damage on the side. And when you move the tail, you get that same stabbing action as the blue one that we saw earlier. And then this one, which is probably my favorite version, which is the dark green with some tan detailing over its whole body. And of course, it has that same stabbing action when you move the tail. Next up, I've got some smaller T-Rex figures. This first one is the repaint edition. I'll show you the original painting in a second, but I think I like this green version better with the battle damage on the side and the tail that controls the head. Here is the original paint version, so just the tan coloring with a bit of gray on its face. Still has the battle damage on its side and the jaw chomping action. And then there's this one, which is really special. This is a hybrid T-Rex and Dilophosaurus. Check out that crazy bright orange coloring with the gold and black striping. This T-Rex also has the battle damage on the side, and it has these awesome looking frills on its head. And of course on this figure, you can still control the jaw by moving the tail. And here is a Pteranodon figure, just about the same size as the Dimorphodon figure that we saw earlier. And it's got some cool gray coloring with the purple accenting on its wings and on its head. Next up, here is the smallest Indominus Rex of this collection. I believe it was from the Bite and Thrashers collection. And it's got the battle damage on the side, which I'm sure you've noticed by now is a staple among these original figures. And of course, you can use the tail to get that jaw-chomping action. Here's a different looking dinosaur. This is a Ceratosaurus. It's got a huge battle damage button on the side, and the classic red, black, and tan coloring for Ceratosauruses, and the tail that when you move up and down, activates the jaw for chomping. Here is the original Pachycephalosaurus figure in the yellow coloring with the black striping along the top, and the tail that activates the headbutting action. Next is this really cool Allosaurus figure, super bright with the yellow, red, and then the white underbelly. Looks quite a bit different compared to how Mattel is making Allosauruses now. Here's one of the smallest Spinosaurus figures I have in my entire Jurassic World collection. It of course has the battle damage on the side. It's got some pretty interesting coloring with this light green, and then the brown, and then the orange on its spine, which is unusual now for Spinosaurus figures. And of course, the tail that you can move to activate the jaw. And finally, here is the smallest T-Rex figure that I have from the original Jurassic World figures. This figure has a huge head and jaw compared to the rest of its body, and although it doesn't work now anymore, you could use the tail, move it back and forth to activate the jaw-chomping action. First up, we've got this huge Indominus Rex hybrid figure. While most Indominus Rex figures are painted just gray, this one has some crazy red, some gold on the underbelly and arms and legs, and it has a few unique action buttons too. The first is a chomping action, and second is a button that reveals even more spikes on its back. Next up, we've got another Indominus Rex figure. This one is normal colored, but it's pretty old. It's got a rubberized head and neck, and the rest of its body is a hard plastic. And when you pull down on the arms, it opens and closes its mouth. This next rare figure is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It also has some rubberized parts of its body as well, like the tail and the neck. This figure also has some stomp sound effects. And of course, it's got a roar sound effect and a chomp action. In the back here, we've got another T-Rex figure, but this one looks quite a bit different. It's got some green and some very unique and kind of strange looking details on its body. It's a bit smaller than the T-Rex that we just saw, but it has one real cool special effect. Press the button here, and it springs up some spikes on its back and on the top of its head too. This next T-Rex right here is actually identical to the other one, except that it does not have the spikes coming out of its back. And I believe this one was actually custom colored too, so you won't find this one anywhere else. This is a super brightly colored dinosaur. This is a classic Dilophosaurus. It's got bright neon coloring all over its body. It's got a button on its side for lighting up and sound effects, although it doesn't work anymore. And you can use the tail to move the head up and down too. Here's a super brightly colored Velociraptor figure. It's got the green with the red stripes all over its body. This one also has a button for sound effects and lighting up, although it doesn't work anymore. And not only that, but it also has a tail that you can press down on to open and close its mouth. Here's a pretty unique looking dinosaur. This is an Amargosaurus. It stands on all four legs and it has two action buttons. One moves its head up and down, and the other swings its tail. Check out those two huge spines running down its back and its neck. Next up, we've got an Edmontosaurus figure. This one's a bit more recent, but it can be pretty hard to find. The brightest coloring is on the top of its head. It's got some blue and some yellow, and you can hear the sound effects, and there's a tail that moves its head around too. Check it out, we've got another Indominus Rex figure. This one's quite a bit smaller than the ones that we saw earlier, although it's got some really cool battle damage that you can slide open and closed. Plus, on this figure, you can move the tail up and down, and it has a chomping action. Here's another super brightly colored dinosaur. This is a hybrid Stegosaurus and Triceratops. Check out all that super cool gold coloring all over its body, and it's even got some battle damage right on the side. And this figure has one action. When you press down on the tail, it pushes its head forward. Here is a winged dinosaur. I'm not sure what type it is. It's definitely not a pteranodon or anything like that. It's got a bright blue underbelly. It's got the red on the top. It's got an action button right on its back. And you can flap the wings by moving the back feet. Up next is a miniature Mosasaurus figure. This small figure has some battle damage that you can open and close right on the side. And although it doesn't work anymore, you used to be able to lift the tail up to open and close the mouth. Here is the Concavinator figure. This dinosaur has some bright coloring along its back right next to the spike and some purple all over its face. Plus it has two action buttons, one to activate the jaw and the other to activate the tail. Right here is a special edition Ankylosaurus figure. This figure is pretty special because you can actually remove part of the shell on top of its body as well as on its tail, and underneath you can see that there's still a super hard shell for this dinosaur. And with this figure, when you move this leg back and forth, it swings its tail and it moves its head back and forth. Right here we've got a classic looking Ceratosaurus figure with a button for battle damage on the side. This figure is a bit smaller than many of my other Ceratosaurus figures, but you can still use the tail to open and close the mouth. Up next, we've got a reflective Parasaurolophus figure. Check out that super shiny pink coloring along its back and some on its leg as well. And this figure has an action where you can move the tail to move the head around. Plus, it has sound effects too. I've got another Velociraptor figure here. This one isn't as bright as the last one we saw, but it's still got the battle damage button right on the side that used to light up and have sound effects. Plus on this figure, you can move the tail up and down to move the arms. I've got one more Dilophosaurus figure in this super rare collection. This one is identical to the one we saw earlier, except that it does not have the super bright neon coloring. It's got the huge frills in the front, there's the battle damage button on the side, and you can use the tail to dip the head up and down too. This next dinosaur, I believe, is called a Pachycephalosaurus. It's yellow with black striping along the top. It's got a tiny bit of battle damage on the side, and it's got an action that when you press down on the tail, it does a headbutting action for its super hard shell on its head. Next up, we've got a super small Spinosaurus figure with super bright coloring. It's blue on the side, it's like a reflective gold on the underbelly, and bright red along the spine. It's also got the battle damage on the side, and you can use this figure's tail to move its head around. Next up is a small Allosaurus figure, once again, really brightly colored. It's got tan, yellow, and red on its body. It's got a little bit of battle damage on its side, just like the other figures, and the tail that controls the mouth and the head. And finally, we've got 3 Tyrannosaurus Rex figures. This middle one is for sure the rarest one. It is a super bright orange color. It's got some gold coloring along the top. And this T-Rex is actually a hybrid with a Dilophosaurus. You can tell because of those huge frills on the front right there. And these other two are a little bit more normal looking. They both got the battle damage right on the side. This first one is a light green color, and this one is a light brown color. And they both have the tail that controls the mouth when you move it around. First, I just bought some Jurassic Park sets off of eBay. The first one is the Alan Grant with double-barreled bola launcher from the Jurassic Park new Series 2. Let's check this out. So there's Dr. Alan Grant. We've got a variety of tools here, as well as a little dinosaur. And way up at the top here, you can see that it's some type of claw contraption or something used for trapping dinosaurs, it looks like. Now, I'm not gonna open this up because this is a collectible and I wanna keep it in this condition since it's unopened right now. But I still have another figure from eBay that I just bought that we're gonna check out as well. This is the Compsognathus, or at least I think that's how you pronounce it, codenamed Lasher from Jurassic Park Chaos Effect series. And this dinosaur is super colorful. It's got some light blue-green over its body with the black. It's got some yellow, it's got some orange, it's got blue right on its nose. So this will be super cool to add to my collection too. And as you can see, it is a combination dinosaur of a Compsognathus, a Stegosaurus, and an African tree frog. That is pretty wild. As you'll notice with basically all of these figures are discontinued, so you won't be able to find them new anywhere. You might be able to find them on eBay or something like that. But this first one is a Jurassic Park Allosaurus. And this figure actually has multiple pieces of battle damage that you can completely take off. And this front battle damage actually has multiple layers. You can take off the ribs to see the stomach underneath, and then you can just cover it back up with the skin, just like that. You can also remove the thigh on this dinosaur, see the flesh underneath, as well as on the tail. You can rip off a piece of the tail and see the bone and flesh underneath too. Back here, we've got one of the original Tyrannosaurus Rexes from Jurassic Park. This figure has some pretty unique coloring over its body. It's got the clay red with the black spots and stripes. It's got the lighter underbelly. It originally had sound effects, and its whole body is a soft rubber, which is a common theme with the older figures. Right here, we've got a T-Rex from Jurassic Park: The Lost World. This is the Thrasher Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it also has a soft rubber body aside from the arms and the legs. And with this T-Rex, you can actually wiggle the tail to control the face and the neck, move it back and forth. All right, I know you've been keeping your eye on these huge T-Rexes on the side. This super colossal T-Rex is one of a kind, and that is because it is actually custom colored. It's got a light tan body all around. It's got some interesting shadowing and detail all over. It's also got some super dark red eyes and some interestingly colored teeth too. So those are darker teeth than what's normal. So while you may be able to get a super colossal T-Rex, you will not be able to buy one that is this color. Next up for the one-of-a-kind super colossal dinosaurs is this T-Rex. And this has some of the craziest custom coloring out of any figures that I've seen. It looks like a fire T-Rex. Got the bright red over its belly and sides. It's got the glowing orange right next to the black, and then the black top. This is a super cool one-of-a-kind T-Rex. And for our final one-of-a-kind, custom-colored, super colossal dinosaurs is this Velociraptor. This, I think, has some of the best custom coloring out of any figure that I have. It is so detailed and so well done. It's got the black body with these brown stripes, and there's even these little gold specks along its brown stripes as well. My favorite part though are the eyes. These are incredibly detailed. It's like a gold eye, but then it's got red towards the center and then the black pupil. You will not be able to find another super colossal Velociraptor with this coloring anywhere. Here we've got a Jurassic Park Stegosaurus with battle damage right on the shoulder. This figure has a somewhat soft rubber body. The tail is especially rubbery, so you can swing that back and forth with those spikes at the end. And it has a very natural green and brown and light tan coloring all over its body, so it really blends into the jungle. This giant T-Rex, I believe, is the Jurassic Park Lost World Bull Tyrannosaurus Rex. This T-Rex has some pretty unique coloring with this green-blue color on the sides. It's got some light brown on its legs as well as along the top of its body. It's got some marble eyes that are green. And I don't have the piece anymore, unfortunately, but originally it was able to swallow, I think, a cage that had a man inside. So this thing could actually swallow humans or dinosaurs or whatever you want, and you can release it from the stomach right in there. Next up of my rarest figures is this Jurassic Park Lost World Pteranodon that was nicknamed the Steel Beak. This figure's pretty old and fragile now, but it's one of the few figures that has a fabric wing on it, as well as spring-loaded joints for the wings, so it can swing forward and it swings back, just like that. Next up is the Jurassic Park Lost World Parasaurolophus. This figure's in pretty good condition for how old it is. It's got the light tan body with the darker brown stripes along the top, and this figure actually has an action button on its back used for running. Here we've got the original Jurassic Park Triceratops, and this figure has some huge battle damage on its side. You can see some flesh and some bone in it as well. This figure also has the soft rubbery body like many of the super old figures, and it has an action that when you squeeze its stomach, it swings its head upward. Here is a dinosaur figure that, although it's more recent, it's still pretty hard to find and pretty rare. This is an extreme chomping Spinosaurus from Jurassic World. This figure has the dark brown body with the light underbelly and the red spine and face. And of course, it comes with the button at the top of its head for the chomping. Right here is another one of the original Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rexes. This is a smaller figure. It probably only stands about 9 or 10 inches tall. It's got some battle damage on the side, and it has the soft rubbery body all throughout aside from its arms and its legs. This super bright dinosaur, I believe, is from Jurassic Park The Lost World and is actually a Chaos Effect Ankylorhinodon. This figure has some super bright colors, bright green and the bright purple, plus it's got a super bright orange eye as well. And there's actually a hidden action button on its back used to move its tail. Over here is another more recent figure from Jurassic World, but is still pretty rare and pretty hard to find. This is the hybrid Indominus Rex. It's got the bright red over its body, it's got some gold, and the classic gray color for the Indominus Rex. Plus it has a few action buttons, the first that you press down to stick out its spines, and the second to pull down the arm, and it roars. Check this one out. Here is another discontinued Jurassic World figure. This figure is fairly rare and is actually a hybrid Tyrannosaurus Rex. Check out these spines that pop out on the top of its head and on its back. Plus, another unique feature about this Tyrannosaurus Rex is this unique coloring right along the side of its body. And the action button that springs out the spines also activates the jaw. This is another Chaos Effect dinosaur from Jurassic Park. This is the Velociraptorix, and this dinosaur has some really unique features. What stands out the most to me are these wings right on the Velociraptor's arms. That's super interesting. And it's got these spikes right along the top of its back and its head as well. And this Velociraptorix has an action that when you pull the leg, it swings its arms up and down and its head moves as well. Next up, we've got another figure from Jurassic World. This is a hybrid special edition Ankylosaurus. And the most special part about this figure is that it actually has part of its shell that you can take off to reveal the normal shell underneath. This removable shell is super bright and reflective. It's got some bright green and purple in the spikes as well. And you can just plop it right back on. Next up in my rare figures, we've got the Jurassic Park Amargospinus. I think this figure looks somewhat similar to the unopened figure that we saw at the very beginning of this video. It's got the long neck, it's got the spines all over, and it's got a few action buttons actually that when you move the leg, it actually sticks up its spines on its back, on its neck, and it opens its jaws too. Next up is the Jurassic Park Lost World Chasmosaurus. This figure looks similar to a Triceratops. It's got many of the same features. It's got the horns in the front. And this figure also has an action that when you pull its leg, it moves its head up and down. This is another Jurassic World hybrid figure. This, I believe, is a hybrid between a Stegosaurus and a Triceratops. But it's also got some super bright and unique coloring with the bright blue on its side, the dark blue on its legs, and the gold right along the top and its horns too. Here is another Jurassic World hybrid figure. This is a hybrid between a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a Dilophosaurus. And once again, it's also got some super bright coloring with the bright orange on its sides. It's got some gold along the top too. This is a Jurassic Park Spinosaurus, and let me tell you, I think it looks a lot different than the Spinosauruses that Jurassic World is releasing now. But it's still got the huge spine along its back, of course, and it has some pretty bright coloring. It's got the bright green along its body with the gray as well. Next up is a fairly large figure from Jurassic Park. This is a Utah Raptor. It's got the orange body with the black detailing along the top and the lighter underbelly. And a nice detail on this figure is that you can actually move the claw up and down on its feet. Over here, we've got a few Jurassic Park Baryonyx figures. These are quite a bit different than the new Jurassic World Baryonyxes that are being released now. Their bodies are a lot more thin, they've got shorter legs, and it looks like they've got longer necks too. Next up, we've got two Velociraptors from Jurassic Park with different features. This first one is a lot smaller, and you can move the arms and the legs, but there's no action button. But on this second Velociraptor figure, there's an action button that when you move the leg, you can hear a sound effect. It's really quiet, so you probably can't hear it on the camera. But its head also used to move up and down as well. Here are some other interesting dinosaurs from Jurassic World. This is a Dilophosaurus with battle damage on the side, and it is super brightly colored. We've also got a smaller Spinosaurus with battle damage on the side that you can control by moving the tail around too. And for the last two dinosaurs of my rare collection, first we've got a Jurassic Park baby T-Rex with a broken leg feature. And we've also got this, I think it might be a Baryonyx, it might be an Allosaurus, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's from Jurassic World, and it's got the battle damage on the side, and the tail controls the head too. The first and biggest of this collection is this Jurassic Park T-Rex. I believe this is a bull T-Rex, as it was called. It is the JP28. It has very unique coloring. I don't have another T-Rex that has this type of coloring on it. It's really cool. Next up from Jurassic Park, we've got the really bright and colorful Compsognathus. This is a super crazy looking dinosaur, plus it's got a unique feature that when you press on this orange thing, it it sticks this, I think it's its tongue out of its mouth. That is super crazy looking. And then you can retract it just like that. Next, also from Jurassic Park, is another giant T-Rex figure with the rubber body and the plastic legs and arms. This figure's getting really old, so you can see the paint starting to wear off. Plus it's made of rubber, so it just doesn't hold up the time as well. But it still looks really cool. And you can use the tail to control the head. Here's another big dinosaur, but this one is a vintage Jurassic World figure. So it's a bit different. It's got a mostly plastic body, but it has a rubber neck and head, and you can use the arm to open and close the jaw. Really cool sound effects. The next vintage figure is this giant Utah raptor figure from Jurassic Park. Definitely a lot bigger than a lot of my other raptor figures, and it has some special features too. When you press down underneath its tail, it dips its head down in a chomping action. This figure is a vintage Jurassic World figure, and it's actually a pretty special one because it is a hybrid dinosaur. It looks like a T-Rex, but then you can press this button on its back to open up the spines and reveal them. That's really cool. Right over here is a vintage Jurassic Park Allosaurus figure. This figure is actually a bit smaller than a lot of my other Jurassic World Allosaurus figures, but the cool part about this figure is it has battle damage that you can take off completely. And you can even do it on its leg and its tail too. This is quite a bit different from the new Allosauruses that Jurassic World is releasing now. Right down here, we've got a huge Triceratops figure. This is from Jurassic Park. It's got the battle damage on the side. I think there used to be a piece that fit in there, but I don't have it anymore, sadly. But it's got the camouflage green coloring all over its body, and you can squeeze the stomach to lift up the head. Here is a vintage Jurassic World Ankylosaurus figure. I believe the figure actually has an additional shell. Here we go. You can put it right on top of the dinosaur for additional armor. This is a special edition Ankylosaurus figure. It's really cool. Up next is another old Jurassic Park figure. I believe this one is a adolescent T-Rex. It looks quite a bit younger than a lot of the other big T-Rexes I have, so I think it's a younger version of a T-Rex. But its body's all rubber aside from its legs and its arms, and it does not have any special features, sadly. Here's another really unique looking dinosaur from Jurassic Park. This is the Velociraptorix. It's got a body similar to a velociraptor, but it's got these feathered winged-like things on its arms as well as on its back. And check out that super long snout with all those teeth. And you can actually move its arms and its head by moving its leg back and forth. Right over here is a smaller figure. This is a Jurassic World Pachycephalosaurus figure. It's got the black striping on the top and the yellow body and a little bit of body damage on the side. But for how old this figure is, it still has a pretty cool function where you can wiggle its head, you can move its head up and down in that head-butting action too. Here's another T-Rex figure from Jurassic World. This one is custom colored though. It's got the red and the black coloring with the green underbelly. This figure is actually identical to the hybrid T-Rex with the spikes coming out of its back that we saw earlier. Here's another old Jurassic World figure. This is another Ankylosaurus, but this is the normal version. So we saw that super bright blue and green Ankylosaurus. This is the normal version, which is brown and does not have the additional shell covering on top. All right, I've also got a few vintage human figures in here too from Jurassic Park. I believe that this is the parachute edition of Dr. Ian Malcolm. Looks like he's got the full harnessing system on for jumping out of a plane in a parachute. Next up, we got another old Indominus Rex figure. This is a little tiny one. I believe this one was a Bite and Thrashers. It was called something like that. But you can use its tail to move its head around and open and close its jaw. Over here is another old Jurassic World figure. This is a Ceratosaurus figure. And while the coloring is the same as many of the new ones that Mattel is releasing, the design of the whole body, and especially its face, is very different compared to what's coming out nowadays. Plus, this figure has a button on its side that'll activate sound effects and light up as well. But since it's so old, it no longer works anymore, sadly. From Jurassic Park, we've got a saber-toothed looking kind of creature. I don't remember the name of this figure though, but check out those teeth on the very front of its mouth. That's pretty scary. Looks a lot like a saber-tooth. Here's another human character from Jurassic Park. I actually don't remember the name of this character, but comment down below if you recognize who it is.
Come on.
Way down here, we've got a baby Triceratops figure from Jurassic Park. This figure actually came in a shell that you opened up to reveal this dinosaur. And the coolest part is that this figure has marble eyes. You don't see that in a lot of new figures nowadays. Speaking of Triceratops, I've got a wild looking one from Jurassic World. This is a hybrid Triceratops, I believe, with a Stegosaurus. It's got gold and some bright blue all over its body, and you can use the tail to move the head around too. Check out all those horns along its head too. That is amazing, and a way lot more than normal Triceratops figures. Next up, we've got another raptor figure, but this one is a Velociraptor from Jurassic World. With this figure, you can move its arms and its legs up and down, but you can't open and close its mouth or move its tail. So Jurassic World figures have really come a long way since they first started releasing these. This is a pretty basic figure. Here's another figure that looks nothing like the new figures that they're releasing for this species. This is a Spinosaurus figure. It's got the green and gray and looks absolutely different from the new Spinosauruses that Mattel is releasing nowadays. This bright figure from Jurassic World, I believe, is an Allosaurus figure, and it's pretty basic, but like that smaller Indominus Rex figure that we saw earlier, you can use its tail to open and close its mouth, and even have it look around too. From Jurassic Park, here is another Triceratops figure, but this one is a lot smaller and might be a baby Triceratops. Plus, when you wiggle the leg on this figure, you can move its head up and down too. And unlike many of the other Jurassic Park figures, this figure is all hard plastic. Next, from Jurassic World is another old Indominus Rex figure, but this figure has the coolest battle damage feature of them all. You can actually open and close the door to reveal the battle damage inside. And that's not all. This figure can open and close its mouth using the tail as well. Up next from Jurassic Park is a vintage T-Rex figure, I believe a baby T-Rex, with a broken leg feature. This is another crazy looking dinosaur from Jurassic Park. This is an Amargospinus. You don't see that many dinosaur figures with this type of coloring nowadays. And it's got some pretty cool features. You can pull the leg and all the spines on its back and its neck, and even its mouth opens up too. Next up is a giant Jurassic World Dilophosaurus figure. This one even has the battle damage on the side that you can press for sound effects, but it doesn't work anymore sadly. And it has these giant frills in the front too, which is pretty neat. Next, we've got another Jurassic Park human figure, and I can't remember the name of this figure either, so let me know in the comments if you recognize who this is.
Bingo!
And here we've got a tiny little Jurassic World T-Rex figure with the green coloring and the tail that controls the neck and the head. The first figure is this giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's got a dark green body with the yellow underbelly and the black top and a button that activates the jaw. This figure is the Dino Tracker series Endoraptor. Check it out. And there's a button on its back that activates the jaw too. Here is the Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus. This figure is ginormous, and it's got the button at the top of its head to activate the jaw. Over here, we've got another Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This one's a little bit smaller. It's got the brown coloring and the jaw attack button. This is the Dino Tracker's Sinotyrannus figure. It's got two buttons on its back, one to activate the jaw and one to activate the tail. Here is the Suchomimus figure with the dark blue and yellow coloring. It's got the big spine running down its back and an attack button for its jaw. Here is an old Jurassic World figure. This one was actually custom painted to be red and black, and it has an action button on its back to activate the jaw. This is the Carcharodontosaurus figure with the blue, orange, and brown coloring. This is the Albertosaurus figure in the green and orange coloring, and it has an attack button on its tail to operate the jaw. Next up is the Sound Surge Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic World Dominion. Here's another Dino Trackers figure. This is the Diabloceratops. Check out that awesome red coloring and this action button that moves its head. This Pteranodon figure, I believe, is part of the Amber collection. It actually has rubberized wings, so it feels really realistic. This is the Rowdy Roars Carnotaurus figure. It's got the classic coloring for a Carnotaurus and an action button for chomping. Here is the gigantic tracker Stegosaurus. It comes with this cool backpack feature, and it has two buttons on its back that swing the tail up and down and back and forth. Here is a classic Baryonyx figure with the reflective blue coloring on the top of its head. Next up, we've got a Cryolophosaurus figure in the bright yellow coloring with the brown and orange detailing. This figure right here is a Spinosaurus. This is a basic figure, so there's not a whole lot you can do with it, but you can move its arms, its legs, and its tail. Here from Jurassic World Dominion is an Iguanodon figure. It's got the soft tan coloring and an attack button when you press down on its back. This figure is a Kentrosaurus. It looks quite a bit like a Stegosaurus, but it's got these huge spikes on the side that you can swing back and forth. This figure, I believe, is called an Edmontosaurus. It's got some pretty cool coloring, and you can use the tail to control the head. Next up, we've got a basic Velociraptor figure in the orange color. You can move its arms, its legs, and its tail. Here is the dark green Ceratosaurus figure. It has a slide lever action on its back to activate the sound effects and its chomping action. This is a Triceratops figure in the brown, blue, and dark blue coloring. And on this figure, you can move the tail to move the head around. Here is an older and pretty rare Jurassic World figure. This is a hybrid Tyrannosaurus and Dilophosaurus. And check out that super bright coloring. Up next, we've got a Sinoceratops figure in the soft green coloring. And this figure features the tail that you can use to move the head around. This next figure is an Allosaurus in the gray and yellow coloring, and it has an attack button on its back to chomp its jaw open and closed. Here's a dinosaur figure that I don't have that many of. This is a Concavinator. It's got a huge spine on its back that actually you can press to swing its tail back and forth. Plus, there's an action button on the front of its back to chomp its jaw open and closed. Here is a Pteranodon figure with foldable wings. And when it's fully expanded, it's probably over a foot long. Plus, there's a button on its back to flap its wings back and forth. Here is a miniature Indominus Rex figure with a little bit of battle damage on its side. I've also got this older Jurassic World Allosaurus figure, and it looks quite a bit different from the new Allosaurus figures that Mattel is releasing. Up next is a miniature Dilophosaurus figure with the purple and some bright yellow, red, and orange. This is a Moros Intrepidus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the green, orange, and white body. Here is a Velociraptor Beta figure. It's got the classic blue stripe down both sides, and you can move its arms, its legs, and its tail too. Next, I've got a Battle Damage Atrociraptor figure. Check it out, you can turn on and off the battle damage with the click of a button. Here is a Pachycephalosaurus figure in the orange and green coloring, and it has an action. We press down on the tail and it headbutts. Check out this crazy looking dinosaur. I actually can't remember the name of it, so let me know in the comments below if you know what it is. Here is a super bright Velociraptor figure with the red and the green stripes on top. Plus, it's actually spring-loaded. Up next, I've got a Zuniceratops figure with the green and dark blue coloring. Check out those huge horns on the top of its head, too. Here's another spring-loaded Velociraptor. This one is brown, though. Up next is a small Parasaurolophus figure. And actually what comes with this figure is a Dr. Ian Malcolm figure. This is a Dimetrodon figure with a huge bright orange spine all the way down its back. This figure is the baby Brachiosaurus with the light green and darker green coloring on top. Here I've got a Monolophosaurus figure with the brown and gray detailing. From Jurassic World Dominion, this is another Atrociraptor figure. This one has the orange and the tan striping. I've also got a miniature Pyroraptor figure here. This one has the classic red and black coloring, along with the feather texture along all of its body. I've also got some more miniature Velociraptor figures in here. This first one has an action button on its back to swing its arms back and forth. And I've also got this bright yellow and brown Velociraptor figure too. It's got some battle damage right there on the side. This unusual figure is a Minmi dinosaur. It's got the spikes all the way down its back and on top of its head. This next figure is a baby T-Rex, and it comes with an action. When you move its tail, it chomps its jaw open and closed. And here we've got a miniature Pteranodon figure. Plus it has an action button on its back to flap its wings. Let's open up some brand new ones next. Let's see what this one is. These are a bunch of uncaged, wild pop-ups. First up, we've got Velociraptor Blue. Next up is a Dilophosaurus. There's also a Carnotaurus. And best of all, a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Next up, I've got a new Jurassic World Dominion Triceratops figure. Let's check it out. This Triceratops has the soft green body with the darker green and the orange in the front. Let's move on to our second bin here. This figure is the Spinosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a button right on its tail to activate the jaw. Up next is the Ankylosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It has a super long neck and an action button to activate the jaw. Now here is a really cool looking T-Rex. This is a custom colored T-Rex to look like fire. And of course, it's got the button at the top of its head to open and close its jaw. Here is the Scorpius Rex figure from Camp Cretaceous. It's got two action buttons, one to activate its jaw and one to activate its arms. This is a battle damage Baryonyx figure. You can check out that battle damage on its neck and on its leg, and it has an action button on its back for chomping. This interesting looking dinosaur is an Amargospinus. This dinosaur also has a long neck and some amazing looking spines on its back. Here is the Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex with the Battle Damage Edition. You can click the battle damage on and off just with the button on top. Here's a vintage Jurassic World figure. This one is actually a hybrid T-Rex. I think it's mixed with a Spinosaurus. Check it out. It's got some spines that pop out right at the top of its back. Next up, we've got the amazing Therizinosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. You can use the tail to swivel its body around and use the action button on its tail to open and close the jaw. Next up, we've got a Stegosaurus figure in the light blue-green color. Plus, it has an action button. When you press down here, it swings its tail back and forth. Here's one of the largest Atrociraptor figures that I have. This one comes in the classic white with brown striping. I've got another extreme battle damage T-Rex here, but instead of battle damage shown right here, there's actually painted battle damage all over its body. Next up, I've got a Sarcosuchus figure. This dinosaur is really long and short, and you can use the tail to control the head. Here's another T-Rex figure. This one is in a soft brown with darker brown along the top, and of course the action button at the top of the head to operate the jaw. Next up, this figure is the Giganotosaurus. It has two action buttons, one to swing its torso, and one to open and close the jaw. This is the Indoraptor with the gold stripe and the black body, and it is a very posable dinosaur figure. This is the basic Velociraptor blue figure. You can move its arms, its legs, and its tail, and of course it's got the awesome iconic coloring. From the Hammond collection here, we've got the Baryonyx figure. It is very posable, and it's got some awesome coloring too. Here's a crazy looking dinosaur. This is a special edition Ankylosaurus figure. It actually has a removable shell. I've also got the regular edition Ankylosaurus as well. This figure is from Jurassic World Dominion. This is the Sound Surge Giganotosaurus figure. Check it out, it's another Sarcosuchus figure, but this one has some different coloring with the purple, orange, red, and blue. Here is another Ceratosaurus figure, but this one is in the brown and orange coloring. Let's check out that chomping action. Here is a vintage Jurassic World Mosasaurus figure. It's a lot smaller than the figures that are coming out with now, and it's got some battle damage that you can open and close right on the side. Next up is one of the largest winged dinosaurs. This is the Quetzalcoatlus. This figure has two action buttons, one to flap the wings and the other to open and close the mouth. This figure is super old. This is a Jurassic Park Spinosaurus figure. Here are a few small figures. These are both Gallimimuses. I've got another Dimetrodon figure in here. This one has an action. When you press down on its tail, it opens and closes its jaw. This winged figure is a Dimorphodon. Check out those fiery wings. From Camp Cretaceous, we've got a baby Ankylosaurus Bumpy figure. This next figure is from Jurassic World Dominion. This is a Miragaia. Check out those huge spikes coming out of its shoulders. Next up, we've got another classic Ceratosaurus figure. This one has the yellow, black, and red coloring. Here's another dinosaur with some huge spikes coming out of its back. This is a Sauropelta. This next little dinosaur, I believe, is called a Coelurus. It's got a tan body with some brown and some blue detailing. Over here, we've got some Monolophosaurus figures, one in a soft green color, and it's got some battle damage on the side, and one in a dark blue with some tan coloring. I've also got some more Velociraptor figures in here. I've got a Velociraptor Beta figure. Here's another spring-loaded, super bright Velociraptor figure. And a dark green Velociraptor in the stealth crawling pose. This next figure is a Carnotaurus, and this one is from Jurassic World Dominion. It's pretty unique because it's got the dark green body with the orange detailing, and it's also got a broken horn on the top of its head. Here is a Stygimoloch figure. It's got some gray and some dark blue coloring, and some huge spikes coming out of its head. Plus, this figure has an action. When you press down on its tail, it activates the headbutting. Here we've got another aquatic dinosaur. I believe this one is called a Plesiosaurus, and it has one action button on its back to flap its flippers. And last of all, we've got a baby Triceratops figure in the light green coloring, and some battle damage on the side that you can open and close. The very first one is a battle damage T-Rex with the orange body and the brown top. This T-Rex is dark green in color. It's got some black detailing along its back, and it's got the button on the top of its head for chomping and roaring. This is the Yangchuanosaurus from the Dominion series. It's got the green body with brown detailing and the orange crown on the top of its head. Here we've got another T-Rex with the soft brown body and the darker brown along the top, and of course the button on the top of its head for chomping and roaring. This Dominion figure is a Siamosaurus. It's got a dark body with the red spine and the red head. Up next, we've got a T-Rex figure, but this is actually a hybrid T-Rex. You can tell because it has spines that pop out of its back by pressing this button, and the jaw opens and closes as well. Here is another T-Rex figure, but this is a gray-brown T-Rex. It's got some darker brown along the top. It's very adjustable, and you can open and close the mouth too. Way back here is a camouflage T-Rex. It's got some sound effects too. You can open and close the mouth, and you can do a chomping effect too. This is a Sarcophagus. It's got some short legs, but it's got the blue body with purple and orange detailing on the top. This super bright dinosaur is another T-Rex. It is custom colored, so it is a bright red. It's got some orange and black as well. Over here is a Scorpius Rex that I'm sure you recognize from the Jurassic World movie. It has 2 action buttons, one for the jaw and one for the arms. Next up, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This is gray and a darker gray. It's got those huge spikes along its spine, and it's got the red chin and neck too. This is a Siatsmicararum. It's got the orange body with the blue detailing on its back and head, and it's got some gray detailing along the back of its body. Back here is a Carcharodontosaurus with the blue body and the brown and orange detailing along its back, all the way up to around its eyes. Here is a Rajasaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It has a dark body with some lighter coloring along its neck, and it has an action button for chomping. Next up, we've got an old Indominus Rex figure. This one is smaller. It's got some battle damage on the side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail to chomp the mouth. Here is a super bright dinosaur. This is the Suchomimus. It's got a bright yellow body with the brown detailing along its spine, and it has 2 action buttons. One for the jaws, and one to swing the tail. Here is another bright dinosaur. This is a Metriacanthosaurus. It's got the bright red body with some brown detailing on its back and some orange on its head. Here's another Metriacanthus figure. This has a yellow body with some green coloring along the top, and it has the action button on its back for the jaw. This is a super cool looking Allosaurus figure. It's got the gray body with the yellow detailing all over. It's got some awesome looking red right above its eyes, and it's got an action button for the jaw. Right over here is the Majingasaurus with a green, yellow, and blue body, and you can use the tail to control the neck. Here is a Cryolophosaurus figure. This has a bright yellow body with brown detailing and orange along the top of its body. Here's another small Indominus Rex figure. This has battle damage on the side that you can't open or close, but you can still use the tail to open and close the mouth. Next up is the Irritator. This has a brown, blue, and light blue body, and you can use the tail to control the neck. I've got a Baryonyx figure here with a brown, blue, and orange coloring on its body, and it's got an action button on its back for the jaw. Next up is another Allosaurus figure. This one has a brown and blue body, and it has a slide lever action to control the jaw. This Jurassic World figure is a Baryonyx. It's got the gray, white, and blue detailing on its body, and it has the slide lever action to control the jaw too. Next up, I've got the Jurassic World Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus. This figure is a light tan color. It's got some bright orange running all the way down its back, and of course it's got the iconic horn at the top of its head. Here is another Hammond Collection figure. This is the Baryonyx. It is super adjustable and posable, and it's got some pretty cool detailing all along its body. This is a basic Spinosaurus figure. It's got the dark green body with some white detailing, and of course the red along its spine and all around its eyes. Here is the Ceratosaurus figure in the dark green coloring with black detailing on the top and the slide lever action to control the jaw. Here is another Ceratosaurus figure, but this one is in the brown and orange coloring, and it's got a button at the top of its back to control the jaw. Next up, we've got the Extreme Chompin' Carnotaurus. This is a little figure, but it has a huge head, and it has a button to control the eyes, and a button for chomping too. This figure is from the Amber collection. I believe this one is Velociraptor Tiger. As you can tell, it's got the stripes all over its body with the orange, making it a pretty bright dinosaur. I've got a few Dimetrodon figures in here too. This first one is a light blue with a red spine. I've also got this green Dimetrodon with an even brighter red spine. Here is a small Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures. This first one is a soft green color with darker detailing, and this other figure is a brown Monolophosaurus with gray detailing on its body. Here is a baby Brachiosaurus in the light green color. Got a couple horned small dinosaurs here. This first one is the Zuniceratops. It's got some bright coloring on the side of its body. And this one is the battle damaged Triceratops. I've got a few small Dilophosaurus figures in here as well. This first one is brown, blue, and white, especially on the front. And this other one is a soft green, and it's got some orange, red, and yellow on its body. This is the battle damaged Coelurus figure. You can see that you can press this button on its back to activate the battle damage on the side. Let's see what else I got. I've got another Monolophosaurus figure. This one is a bright green color. It's got some red on the front. And this is a Herrerasaurus. It is a gray-blue color with the white detailing along the top of its body. Of course, I've got a few Velociraptor figures in here in this first bin. This first one is a green color. It has a button on its back to activate the arms. And this second Velociraptor figure has its legs spring-loaded, so you can actually launch it into the air. And the last one's in this first bin. We still have one more bin to go. I've got a handful of herbivore figures. This first figure is a Minmi in the green coloring. I've also got a Sauropelta in the red and gray coloring with the huge spikes. Here is Ankylosaurus Bumpy from Camp Cretaceous. And can you guess the name of this herbivore dinosaur? Let me know down in the comments below. Now it's time for this second bin that will complete my 100 Jurassic World dinosaur figure haul. And I've actually got some brand new ones that we're gonna open up before we get into the bin. This first one is the Proceratosaurus figure. All right, so this figure is mostly red. It's got some yellow detailing along the top of its back and neck. And it's got some lime green eyes too. It's pretty cool. Next up is the Jurassic World Velociraptor figure. This Velociraptor is orange in color. It's got some brown detailing along the top, and it's got those bright yellow eyes. Next up is the Jurassic World Atrociraptor figure. This Atrociraptor figure is the white and brown one that I'm sure you recognize from the movie, and it's got those evil-looking red eyes. And next up, we've got the Jurassic World Pyroraptor. I'm sure you recognize this figure from the Jurassic World Dominion movie as well. It's got a black and red body, and it's got those yellow-orange eyes too. Here we've got the small Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. It still has the green coloring with the black detailing along the top, and it comes with some sound effects. Here is another Giganotosaurus figure, but a whole lot larger. Still has the same coloring with a bit more detail with the black, I think. And it's got two actions. The first is for swinging the torso back and forth. And the second is for the jaws. This is a Spinosaurus figure that is dark green in color, just like the one we saw earlier, and it has the red detailing along its spine and all over its head too. Next up, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. It is tan in color and it has a button on its back to activate the jaw. Here we've got another Carcharodontosaurus figure. We saw one earlier that had totally different coloring. This one is tan in color and it's got brown and orange detailing all along its back up to its head. This is a giant Indominus Rex figure with extreme battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off by pressing a button. I've got another Indominus Rex figure here. This one does not have the battle damage on the side, but instead the button activates the claws for slashing. Here's one of my coolest Spinosaurus figures. It has the most intricate detailing and coloring out of all of my Spinosaurus figures. It's got some blue on the spine, its eyes are a bright green color, and of course it's got the button at the top of its head for opening and closing the jaw. Here's another Sarcophagus figure. This one is green on the sides and belly and clay red along the top. Next up is an Allosaurus figure. This one is dark green with white and red detailing along its back and neck. And it's got the slide lever action to activate the jaw and sound effects. This is the Endoraptor. This figure actually has two actions. The first is on its tail. When you press that, it swings its arms shut. It's also got a button on the bottom of its tail to activate the jaw. And you can use the tail to swing the torso around too. This is a Megaraptor figure from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got some huge claws in the front and it's got a red and blue body. Down here we've got a Stegosaurus figure that is gray-blue and it has some darker detailing along the top. And it has an action button to activate the tail for swinging back and forth. Here is another Scorpius Rex figure, but this is the basic edition, so you can't open and close the jaw, but you can still move the arms, the legs, and the tail. Back here is the Ankylosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a bright clay red body with the brown detailing on top, and you can use the tail to control the neck and the jaws too. I believe this dinosaur is called an Amargosaurus. It's got the brown body with black detailing and the red all along its neck down to its tail too. And it's got two action buttons, one to activate the neck and one to activate the tail. This is a big Velociraptor blue figure. You can see the iconic blue all the way down its back and of course the yellow eyes too. Here we've got another Allosaurus figure. This one is tan, dark blue, and bright blue, and it has two action buttons, one for the jaw and one for the arms. Here is a large Dilophosaurus figure. It has a battle damage button on the side, and it's got some super bright colors all over. It's got green, yellow, orange, and it's got some brown detailing all along its body too. If I remember correctly, this is an Iguanodon figure. It's got some detailing of tan and darker brown along the top, and it has an action button that moves its head up and down. This is a hybrid Triceratops Stegosaurus. It's got some battle damage on the side, and its entire body is super bright. It's got blue, it's got dark blue, and it's got a bunch of gold all over its body too. This is a Suchomimus in the dark blue color with the yellow detailing along its spine. And it's got one action button to activate the jaw. I've got another large Velociraptor figure in here. This one is the orange color, and this actually might be the same one that I opened up earlier on. It's got the brown detailing on top and the yellow eyes too. This figure, I believe, is the Proceratosaurus. It's got a tan body with gray detailing and the red nose and orange eyes. Here we've got another Stegosaurus figure. This one is in a light blue-green color. It's got darker detailing along the top, and of course it's got the action button for swinging the tail back and forth. This is a Triceratops figure. It's got the clay red coloring with the brown detailing, and it's got an action button on its back to move the head up and down. This is a small Spinosaurus figure, and it is super brightly colored with the blue and red along its spine. It's also got some battle damage, and you can use the tail to move the head around too. I've got two small T-Rex figures in here. This first one though is actually a hybrid T-Rex, a hybrid with a Dilophosaurus, and it's got this super bright orange and gold all over its body. And this second smaller T-Rex figure is green with the battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to control the mouth just like the other one. Our second to last dinosaur is a hybrid Stegosaurus Triceratops. This one is brown in color, it's got some yellow detailing on its legs, and it's got the battle damage on the side. And our final dinosaur of the 100 Jurassic World dinosaur figures is the Pseudoceratops. With the dark blue body, it's got the green legs and the red detailing along the top. Let's start with the biggest figure in this entire bin. This is the Apatosaurus figure. This figure is ginormous. It's very similar to a Brachiosaurus. It's got the long neck, but it has a totally different face and a much stockier body, I think. But the figure itself is pretty cool because you can move all the legs, you can swivel the tail back and forth, you can move the neck back and forth too, and there's a surprising amount of detail on its face. You can even open and close its mouth too. This thing is ginormous. Next up, I believe released as part of the first Jurassic World movie, is this hybrid Indominus Rex figure. It's got the bright red coloring, it's got some special features, can pop out those spines, its jaw opens and closes, and as you can hear, there's tons of sound effects too. Way over here from Jurassic World Dominion, we've got an extreme battle damaged Tyrannosaurus Rex. This figure is darker than a lot of the T-Rex figures that I have, and of course, it's got the battle damaged slashes right on its side that you can open and close to hide completely or to show. That's really cool. Here is another giant T-Rex figure. This one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but I can't quite remember. But this one is a dark green coloring, which I love. It's got some black striping along the top, and it's got the action button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. Over here, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This figure has tons of spikes running down all the way down its spine to its tail. It's got a dark gray body with some red right underneath its neck and chin, and it's got some action features as well. It can open and close the jaw and move the neck. This, I believe, is the Parasaurolophus figure. It's got some really cool pink reflective coloring, which is a pretty special feature. You can move all of its limbs, and you can use its tail to move its head up and down, and in all directions. Over here, we've got another Parasaurolophus figure, but I think that this one is from the Amber collection or the Hammond collection. I actually can't remember. But it's got some pretty cool coloring and striping along its body. This figure is very poseable. You can even bend at the elbows and at the knees and at the ankles, which you can't do with a lot of Jurassic World figures, so that's pretty cool. Next up is the purple, orange, and blue Sarcosuchus figure. This dinosaur spends a lot of its time in the water. It looks a bit like an alligator actually, and it's got some awesome spikes running along its back, and it has some action features that you can use the tail to move the head around and open and close the ginormous jaw. Here we've got an Ankylosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. Comes with sound effects as you can hear, and when you press down on its back, it actually swings its tail back and forth. This is the new Triceratops figure from the Hammond collection. It's got a whole lot more detailing along its skin, which is pretty cool. The coloring is a little bit varied along its body, but the best part is that there are many points of articulation. You can move all of its limbs in all sorts of directions, and I love the detailing on the face too. It's really cool. Here is the Sound Surge Carnotaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the all red body and of course the sound effects. Next up is the basic Spinosaurus figure in the dark green coloring with the red spine. You can move the legs and arms and tail, but you can't open and close the jaw on this figure. Here is the Camp Cretaceous Scorpius Rex figure. This one is a bit smaller than the other Scorpius Rex figure that I have. It's got a green body with some black detailing along the top, and you can move all of its limbs as well, even open and close the jaw. Here is a T-Rex figure from the first Jurassic World movie, and this one was actually custom painted, so you won't see this one much around, but it's got the red body with the black stripes and spots, and the yellow eyes, and an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Right here, we've got the Seats Microrarum figure. This is a pretty unique figure. I love how the teeth fit into the jaw perfectly. See that big tooth right there and how it fits in perfect? That is super cool. Plus, it's got tons of spikes along its neck and its back, and you can use the tail to control the neck and the jaw too. Way in the back here, we've got the Carcharodontosaurus figure in the tan, brown, and orange coloring. It's got some little spikes running up its head all the way to its tail, and it's got an action button on its back to activate the chomping action. Here is the Yangchuanosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. So this is a newer figure. It's got the green body with brown detailing, and you can actually move its whole body quite a bit. You can move its torso up and down, and you can use the tail to control the head too. Right here from the first Jurassic World movie is the miniature Mosasaurus figure with battle damage on the side. That is really cool. I have quite a few giant Mosasaurus figures, but this one is still really cool and decently detailed as well. Watch out, we've got another Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This one also has the battle damage on both sides of its body that you can turn on and off. Plus, the rest of its body is very poseable as well. Next up is the Cryolophosaurus figure. I think this one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but I can't remember. But anyways, you can move the tail to move the head up and down, and you can move all the limbs and open and close the jaw too. Here's a couple more figures from the first Jurassic World movie. So these figures are pretty old. These are both miniature Spinosaurus figures. They both have the battle damage on the side. This one is more wildly colored, and this one's a bit more realistic. Next up, I've got a giant Dilophosaurus figure in the red coloring with these super bright frills and crown in the front. That is really cool. Here is a Pachycephalosaurus figure with the green and brown coloring and the battle damage that you can open and close on the side. This figure is from Jurassic World Dominion. It is the Rajasaurus with the dark blue coloring and the white on its neck and chin as well. Plus, it's got some spikes right along the top of its neck. And with this figure, when you press down on its back, it has a chomping action. This is another Scorpius Rex figure, but this is the basic edition, so you can't open and close the jaw, but you can still move the arms, the legs, and the tail around, and it has some pretty cool coloring and detailing along its body. Looks like I've got another Cryolophosaurus figure in here. This one is bright yellow with brown and orange detailing along its head, and just like the other figure, you can open and close the mouth, and you can use the tail to swing the neck around. Oh, look at this. I've actually got another Rajasaurus figure too, also with different coloring. This one is light brown with the dark blue coloring along its back and neck. And just like the other Rajasaurus, you can press down on its back for the chomping action. This is the Albertosaurus figurine with battle damage on its side. Check it out. You can see its stomach, then you can even close the ribs, and then you can even close the skin to hide it all. That is really cool. Plus, it's got some battle damage on its leg as well, and the rest of its body is pretty adjustable too. So this is a pretty awesome figure. This, I believe, is a Sinoceratops from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's got a bright yellow tail with a green body, and its eyes are all black, which is really cool. With this figure, you can press down on its body for the roaring action. Next up, I've actually got some brand new figures that we're gonna open up on camera here. The first is this Funko Pop Giganotosaurus figure. So this Giganotosaurus figure comes on a clear stand. It's got some interesting coloring. It's a lot different than the Mattel Giganotosaurus figures that I have. It's got the light gray coloring on the underside, this gray-blue coloring all along the top, so it's not very green like many of the other figures. And it's got these huge yellow eyes without pupils, which is interesting. Plus, you can see a little bit of battle damage, some slashes and scrapes here and there, all along its body too. And we've also got the Dino Rivals Dual Attack Triceratops. This Triceratops is a light gray color. It's got some darker detailing along the top. And as the name says, it has two action buttons. The first is for the horn slashing or roaring action. And there's a second button for the tail whipping too. Whips its tail back and forth. It's pretty cool. Here we've got a similar dinosaur. This one, I believe, is a Sinoceratops. It's got the green and tan coloring with the tan underbelly and a little bit of orange on its frill in the front too. And this figure has one action button on its back to activate moving the head up and down. Next up, we've got a smaller figure. I actually don't remember the species of this dinosaur, so let me know down in the comments if you recognize what type of dinosaur this is. It's got an action button on its back to move its head back and forth. I've also got a few mini figures right here, both with different coloring. This first one is a greenish color. It's got some interesting detailing along its body, and the other one is red with white spikes, which is really cool. I think this one is definitely my more favorite one. Next up is the Zunoceratops figure. Pretty similar to a Triceratops. It's got those 2 horns in the front, but it does not have the 3rd horn, and it's got some different coloring as well. Over here, we've got a baby T-Rex figure. It's got the light green body with some darker green detailing, and it's got an action that you can use to open and close its jaw. This is a Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's a lot smaller than most of the Carnotaurus figures, but it's got some pretty cool coloring, very different from the other Carnotaurus figures, and it's still quite posable as well. Here's an interesting looking dinosaur. I believe this one is a Spinosaurus or something like that. I can't quite remember, but the most interesting part is it's got spikes, little spikes on its shoulders and huge spikes on its tail. That's pretty cool. Right over here, I've got a battle damage Coelurus figure that you can actually turn the battle damage on and off, just like the giant T-Rexes that we saw earlier. That's pretty cool. Here is a baby Brachiosaurus figure in the light green and dark green coloring, and it is pretty adjustable as well. You can move the neck, the legs, and the mouth as well. Right over here, this, I believe, is a Stygimoloch figure, and it has an action that when you move the tail, it has the headbutting action. I've got a few Velociraptor figures in here as well. This first one is the spring-loaded version, so you can actually have it jump into the air because its legs are spring-loaded. I've also got one, I believe, from the Amber collection, so it's a lot more detailed and a lot more articulate with its limbs, so you can move its arms and its legs quite a bit more. And I've also got this third Velociraptor figure with some pretty cool blue coloring. It's pretty unique with its coloring, and it's got an action button on its back to move its claws up and down. These next figures are Herrerasaurus dinosaurs. They both look pretty identical except from the coloring. This one is a light blue-gray coloring, and this one is green with brown on the top, and this one actually has battle damage that you can open and close on the side. And for the final figures, we've got Dr. Ian Malcolm, and we've got a Dracorex figure with all these spikes on its head. Plus, you can move its neck up and down, and its arms and legs as well.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.